Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be discussing coping with crisis. I am Mary Woodhall, neurocoach, and I'm with Dave Kelly, Managing Director of Daisy Inclusive UK, a charity in Liverpool which supports the social, emotional, mental and physical development of disabled and vulnerable people in Liverpool. By sharing our stories and imparting our skills, we hope to help others to embrace change and transition during this period of global turbulence and beyond. Let's begin, Dave, with a quick background. Can you tell us about the mental health journey you underwent when you lost your sight?
Yes, I can do that, Mary. It was a very emotional time, as you can imagine, from having sight to losing your sight. And it all begun, I was married, I had a child, girl, she was 3, and happy-go-lucky, working, supermarket, in charge of the freezers and frozen food. And I noticed this fog just going around the outside, the peripheral vision, and God, that's a bit strange. And within 2 weeks, that fog had filled in all the gaps and there was nothing there. I was blind. The specialist couldn't do anything. It was a genetic condition called retinitis pigmentosa. But mine was a very, very rare form, typical. Chance in 40 million that I would get this genetic condition, especially the rare form of it, which left me completely blind. I thought, okay, that was the pebble in my pool of life. And then my emotional journey really kicked in. Within a couple of weeks, unfortunately, the wife had left me. And I don't blame her at all. It must have been hard for her when someone loses the sight. And I was in denial, out of work then. Lost a wife. I was in a very dark place. I was stuck in the house. I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to survive as a blind Dave. And I could feel I was feeling a bit down and sad and angry and why and I just all the emotions like a death as someone's died. And because of that journey I was going on then, it was it was a tough one, but I survived because I had the willpower to survive. I knew I could survive. And by keeping myself as positive as I could.
Yes, I think that's what I'm really interested in, Dave. The positive mindset and the positive attitude that you were able to deal with the adversity that you were faced with and then transform your life to ultimately have a really positive outcome. If you mentioned that you had a happy-go-lucky disposition prior to this traumatic event, indeed you try to uphold this persona to the outside world. Tell me what was really happening when you closed that front door and you were alone. I know we previously talked about the dark nights of the soul, and clients that I've worked with have previously described it to me as an eruption in their life, which has brought about a deep sense of meaninglessness. But describe that experience for me.
The dark nights of the soul. Well, Mary, I can tell you about them. There was plenty of them. With the previous history of having sight and having so much fun in life, it was quite good. And then the opposite effect had happened. I was home alone and plenty of time to think things through, to really understand who I am, where I am, what's going to become of me. And that was constantly on my mind. Why me? Why did this happen to me? And why did people leave me? And all these terrible thoughts you have, and that loneliness and not knowing whether it was day or night, what time it was, because back then I didn't have a talking watch. I just had the TV and the radio, and then I couldn't really watch the TV because I was trying to visualise it, and I didn't know exactly what was going to become of me, and that was the scary part, because I'd never been blind before, and I wanted to know, well, how do blind people live? What do we do? And because I didn't want to be blind, I wanted to be the old Dave Kelly, because I wanted to be me. But he'd gone. He died. He was gone, and lots of the remnants were still hanging around me, and I had to reinvent myself. I used to wear a mask. A mask, as in the sense, people thought I was happy and always cracking jokes, which is my personality. I love a good joke and I love to be happy. But after three years of being isolated and stuck in the house and friends not coming because you don't know what to say to you and you scared them off because you're so desperate for that friendship and mates and to end the loneliness. And this is the journey I went on, and many thousands and thousands of people go on that same journey when they either become blind or they become kind of isolated through no fault of their own, really. And it's coming to that other side. Bedtime, my word, there's supposed to be 24 hours in a day, but I felt like there was like 124 hours in a day. A minute was an hour was a day. It was just unbelievable how time just slowed down. And when I've come through all this and I came through the other side and I realised, to be happy in my own skin, and realised that there is a future for the new Dave Kelly, the blind Dave Kelly, and I had my dreams about Daisy and set it all up. I was a blind man with a vision. Time goes dead quick now, because when you're in a happier place and in a good place, time seems to fly because you're enjoying it so much. You've got so much to look forward to.
It certainly sounds like you knew how to paint the town, Red Dave. I'm sure, well, in fact, I know you're still the life and soul of any party you attend. So some of the issues that have arisen today have included stress, anxiety, loneliness, insomnia, depression, agoraphobia. I guess we could just summarise it all as an overall feeling of fear and hopelessness. We know the coronavirus pandemic is inducing a considerable degree of fear, worry and concern in our communities, as is evident by the elevated rates of stress and anxiety. So could you tell the audience, Dave, how we will apply our combined experience to reach out to those most vulnerable in light of the COVID-19 pandemic to help them develop mental resilience and a positive mindset?
Mary, for this question, there's many answers, but in my experience, I feel if you want support and help of someone, advice and guidance, you make sure that that person or persons have had the experience and the empathy. They've been through the problems themselves and come out the other side in one piece. And if they come out in one piece and are happy in their own skin and moving onwards and upwards, hey, guess what? Take their advice. And that's what yourself and myself, Dave Kelly, can give for these people who need our help and advice and guidance and get them into a better place, especially through this COVID-19 where mental health and anxieties, depressions and loneliness, all these negativities and bad thoughts that people are having, we can help them through that journey into a much, much better place, give them the tools, guides and aids to work their way through it. And it's not going to be easy in some ways. There's many barriers that are there, but barriers are there to be jumped or kicked down, and you can reach the other side and you can become that person you really deserve to be. Be happy who you are, happy in your own skin.
So you've used emotional freedom technique before, and what other techniques have you used, Dave?
Okay, emotional freedom technique. It's um, it's a technique that the Chinese used to use many, you know, hundreds of years ago. It's about tapping around parts of your body, the meridians, and releasing blockages. And some people might say, "Oh, this sounds like mumbo jumbo," which is what I thought because I was a scouser who didn't believe in nothing like that until I seen it with my own eyes. Even though I was blind, I was able to see the benefits of it. I could feel the benefits of it, and by using EFT, it was absolutely, it cured me of the dark moments of the soul. It cured me of panic attacks and anxiety. It got me into a much better place in my life, so I could hit my targets, score my goals, and reach my potential in life. Plus, get that breathing right, get that sleeping right, because if you can't sleep, you're not going to be active the next day, and mental fatigue, due to sleep deprivation.
Yes, that's so true, Dave. We know that if sleep deprivation continues, a lack of sleep can affect overall health and make you prone to serious medical conditions such as obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes, as well as obviously the impact on your mental health. So, looking at the emotional and psychological impact of crisis, and indeed, looking at how COVID-19 has impacted lots of people negatively. I think the impending doom, fear, and worry are very prevalent, not just in our communities, but across the globe. We know that those previously diagnosed with a mental health condition, for example, may have worsened, whilst those who had not previously presented are now presenting with mental health conditions. So the good news is there are ways to cope better, and over the forthcoming weeks and months, we will be providing face-to-face workshops here at the Daisy Centre in Liverpool, as well as a portfolio of online tools on how to cope better during this extraordinary time. So Dave, would you like to describe how you cope with stress?
Well, stress, it comes from, you have a working too hard, or you've got lots of worries and anxieties, and you're not coping with them, you're not dealing with them, you're bottling it, you're keeping it inside. So you need to let them out. I use emotional freedom technique, which is like tapping, and tapping like certain points around the body. And I've realised what I'm actually doing. I'm just getting my breathing right. I'm unconscious part of the brain sorting out my problems, and it's any anxieties and panics that all come from thoughts, and these thoughts are irrational thoughts. And once you realise these are irrational and you're going to be okay, you're not going to have a heart attack, you're not going to die, you're okay. And around about 15 years ago, I started doing the EFT, and I've looked back since. It's really helped. And sometimes you do feel, you're going okay, and then you're working too hard, and there's little things, little tiny things on the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, and suddenly that black cloud will come over you, and you think, oof, and then negative thoughts, and then you think, oh, I'm blind, I can't see, and this and that, and you need to, straight away, I get me breathing right, think to myself, come on, everything's okay, this is just a little kind of choppy waters that'll pass, and that's important to know that it will pass. And using EFT or getting your breathing right or whatever technique or tools you need, that's when you need to get them out of that toolbox and start doing it.
Yes, Dave, so we know that 90% of our thoughts are unconscious, and the tools that we will be using over the forthcoming months will help our audience to become more aware of what unhelpful, unconscious thoughts are triggering emotions or feelings that simply don't make you feel good. We have a jam-packed programme which will be released later this month, and of course will respond to any special requests via our social media platforms. So watch this space and we will continue to upload our podcasts on social media. Thank you.
Thank you very much.